Rays. Aaron Judge at the plate. Think fast. Look at that. 109-mile-an-hour comeback.
Nick, what's one of my pet peeves here?
And you got to field your position.
Got to field your position. You got to know it. You got to fall off straight to the mound because you can really get hurt. This is a dangerous play right here.
Man, that's a hell of a play by the pitcher, man. 109 miles an hour, Jenna, that's what you said?
That's it.
That's amazing.
Texas's Seven Lakes Junior High. Watch the quarterback fight off a few tackles to get the ball out. The wide receiver makes a great one-handed catch. Yeah, junior high.
Roger Goodell, send that play in for review. Number 34, watch him coming in. He's coming in quarterback. Heat-seeking missile. He throws a little shoulder there to the face mask. Great play. Look at this quarterback. That's a little young Teddy Bridgewater there. Give me that. Bam.
And someone check that receiver's birth certificate. 7th grader?
Birth certificate. Check this dude out.
Finally, high school football out of Georgia.
This guy got to be in some type of ROTC program or something.
Big Coach Todd going full beast mode.
Oh, my goodness. That's a nice field, too. Watch this late block. Oh! Didn't need to do that.
Yeah, he had to eat some of that himself. You see this in high school, man. Running backs and everything be like, wow, how is that kid? That's the way Adrian Peterson looked in high school.
Yep. Out of Palestine.
And in college.
And, yeah, and the first couple of years of the Vikings, too. Look at that. That's a nice little 92-yard rumble across the field. Looked like the Clemson Tiger logo. It's a hell of a play. I like that.
I know fans warn us not to do this, but in an effort to get ahead of ourselves, let me just say that as of this morning, Patrick Mahomes is the Vegas favorite to win league MVP. Yes.
Really?
Yes.
I didn't even know.
Yes. He's had 4 career starts. That's it. All right, here's why that is. The Chiefs' young quarterback has 13 touchdowns, 0 interceptions this season. He's led his team to a hot 3-0 start and is the focal point of a Chiefs' high-powered offense that leads the league in points per game. Just ask Mahomes' biggest fan, Chiefs 3-time Pro Bowl tight end Travis Kelce, who was on the herd yesterday.
I mean, these first 3 games, I mean, it's unbelievable. It's we go, everybody on the offense, really on the team, keeps looking around like, man, we've never been a part of anything like this. Then sure enough, all we know is just to keep coming into work, hacking away at the fundamentals, listening to Coach Reed, who challenges us on every single area of the game. And it's fun. It's fun right now. We just we're focused on getting better every single week.
I think you guys are doing yourselves a fashion disservice. This seems to be the in thing. And I can't do it, but maybe you guys both
See, he's not
can.
big on facial hair. It's not his thing.
I mean, it wouldn't make, now, there's some guys who really do it well. There's some guys who aren't doing it. But, yeah, if you can wear a beard, you need to be like Travis Kelce. But, man, he could be clean-shaven. There's a lot of things he looks good in. He is a big-time athlete. They have big-time talent. I love to see the childlike smile because it's like going to the candy store. When you have as many wide receivers, explosive players, he's an explosive player as a tight end, and then also you have the mad scientist in Andy Reid. You know when you come to the candy shop, there's going to be new candy.
Right.
And so you know all candy, good candy's got sugar in it. So, man, you start coming up with these concepts. The one thing we were worried about with their offense was the inexperience of their quarterback and their ineffective offensive line play. But because Andy Reid has put in so many blitz beaters, that means he could throw it sideways to a running back or a wide receiver to be able to beat the blitz. And this quarterback has a sage seasonedness about him that teams are afraid to blitz him. So the things we were concerned about, the quarterback has alleviated that by him being able to make a variety of throws, being able to make quick reads and not turn the ball over. And it's really helped that offensive line. So I don't expect this. Now, they will come back a little bit, but I expect this to be one of the most exciting seasons that we've ever seen for Kansas City Chiefs offensive football. I think this might be the best Chiefs team offensively that we've ever seen.
And there was a team back, it was either 03 or 04. The Priest Holmes scored 30 touchdowns. 30 touchdowns. They had a couple Hall of Fame offensive linemen.
Yep.
And that team went 13-3 and then played Peyton Manning in the playoffs at Arrowhead and couldn't force a punt. It's similar makeup. Real questions on defense, like real questions on the offensive line, because that was a concern of mine going into the year. I want to give these guys credit. Mitchell Schwartz, their right tackle, has established himself as one of the better right tackles in the AFC. Eric Fisher is disappointing in the context of #1 overall pick of a draft.
Yeah.
But he's a good player. He's just, when you get criticized an awful lot, not criticized as much as Eric Flowers, even when you get better, it's hard to repair your reputation. And sometimes you're a good player, but because you're slotted so high, it's hard to live up to those expectations.
We've seen other teams have explosive starts like this, offensive, unbelievable starts in the first 2, 3, 4 weeks. Why do you guys both think this Kansas City team, why is it sustainable with this team?
Because
you haven't seen much from Patrick Mahomes.
The overarching weapons around him, my trust in Andy Reid until the playoffs come around.
Until January.
And the fact that I think, listen, Pat Mahomes, his profile is that of a star. The reason that he was not the #1 quarterback in his class, that ended up Mitch Trubisky went ahead of him, was because of what I think are some things that teams are starting to move away from, which is just being a slave to the measurables as far as, like, well, how tall is the guy and where he went to school. He went to Texas Tech, and you go to Texas Tech, you play that style of offense, and people think it's not transferable. Andy Reid has taken a lot of college concepts and gotten college-type playmakers, just elite speed all around, and said, all right, see if you can match points with us. What's going to be the hardest thing for Mahomes to deal with? Once there's yet to be a game where he took a beating. And there was a play this weekend where he was a little foolish near the sideline, held on to the ball long, could have thrown it away, and he got sandwiched. And what ended up happening was the two Niners players sandwiched each other. And one of the Niners D linemen got hurt on the play, but he could have gotten hurt on that play. His ability to come back from the game where he does get lit up and to come back from the game where he has multiple interceptions. But right now, even a regression, they still are the best offense in the AFC.
Coaches say it's not the X's and O's, it's the Willies and the Joes. But sometimes you have the X's and the O's and the Willies and the Joes. The reason why I have so much confidence is because I believe in Andy Reid. Like, if I had a kid and he's an offensive player, where would I send him? Andy Reid would be one of the top 5 places in the NFL I would send him to learn professional football. I also believe in Patrick Mahomes. I believe in raw talent. That's why I had a lot of faith in Josh Allen. I believe if I'm going to start with something, I'm going to start with the most talented thing. That's what pro football has been about now. How much they can grow, how much they can learn, all those things. Do they like to get hit? Do they love the violence of the NFL? All those, can they deal with fame? Also, man, I believe in Travis Kelce. I trained him out of the University of Cincinnati. He's an Ohio kid. He came to Florida and has worked out in Florida, so I trained him. I saw him. He's the second best tight end. I believe in Tyreek Hill, not because of what I see, because of what Nick Wright, everything. I thought he was going to be a situational football player. Right now, he's emerging that potentially he can be a #1 guy, but you don't need to be a #1 when you got Kelce.
Right.
And also, I believe in Sammy Watkins since he came out of Fort Myers as a high school talent, went to Clemson, dominated. I still believe he has #1 potential, and that's not even talking about the running back, Kareem Hunt, who led the NFL in rushing.
And he hasn't really gotten on track this year.
So I don't have a little bit of faith. I pieced it together on top of Andy Reid with the other talent that's there.
Well, let's just focus on Mahomes for a second. Is there anything about his game that concerns you? Any way you see he might struggle over the course of the next stretch?
Here's what concerns me about Patrick Mahomes. He's an NFL quarterback, and all of them have bad games. All of them have bad stretches. But sometimes you have to believe what you're saying. And what we're seeing is a guy who took advantage of the year learning under Andy Reid and Alex Smith, a guy who has reached this level at despite being in his second year. His host at his visit to Texas Tech was Baker Mayfield. He's younger than Baker is, so he's reached this just developmentally early on, and success sometimes begets success. I watched the '98 Vikings, who had all these weapons and a mad scientist and Brian Billett cooking it up. I then watched the '99 Rams, who had all these weapons, then a mad scientist and Mike Martz cooking it up. And I understand those were the coordinators instead of the head coaches in those situations. I think this team has that type of offensive weaponry. And when you say we've seen teams get out to hot starts, it's true. But in the last 15 years, only 3 teams have ever scored 35 in each of the first 3 games. The '07 Pats went to the Super Bowl, the '13 Broncos went to the Super Bowl, and this year's Chiefs. If you expand it to 38-plus points, Add the 67 Colts with Johnny Unitas to that list. Like, we've seen fast starts. This is faster than your typical excellent start.
I believe it is sustainable. I believe they're going to be able to do it. Pat Mahomes, sometimes the guy's just special. I believe he's special. Week number 6 becomes important. Statement game at New England. Week number 11 becomes important. Potentially the best team in the AFC, and potentially, what about a Super Bowl 53 preview in going against the Rams?
And that game, by the way, is in Mexico City. So that's a game that is listed on the schedule as a road game for the Chiefs. But that game isn't one of those international games. So that's another thing. Like, the Chiefs don't play 8 road games this year. They got that little benefit. The toughest road game they have is not actually a road game.
I feel like we should dive into that game. Maybe just be there, just watch it in person.
That's on Monday Night Football. What's the flight from Mexico City to New York City? That's going to be hard to do.
I feel like they'll listen to you more than me. Coming up, LeBron was asked what he has to prove to Lakers fans. You're going to want to hear his answer next up. First things
I'm going to
first.
have you and Nick hovering over the field like they do.